Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Callus here, guest narrating for ADV Revival quarterfinals, and honestly, the whole top 8 pretty damn stacked, and it really goes to show that this is, at the end of the day, a skill game, not a luck game. A lot of big names in this: Behe, McMegan, Jumpy, also in the top 8, Pack, but in a loaded top 8, this is very likely the biggest match of all. Very excited to bring you this one. Triangles and ABR. These are two Callus Invitational champions. 2 times for ABR if you count Invitational, which you should. Loaded matchup. These guys really don't need much of an introduction beyond that. If you've been following Jim's channel at all, you already know ABR. Maybe you're a little bit less familiar than Triangles. He's a British player. Been around for a long time, just about as long as I have, and like I said, he did win Callus Invitational 3. He was the first player to win Callus Invitational from the winner's bracket. I recently on my channel did pretty in-depth, hour-plus long interviews with both of these players. If you want to check that out, youtube.com/CallusNarrates. But this is a heavyweight matchup. And, you know, as much as you youngins who have seen it with the recency bias think that ABR is the greatest of all time and obviously the favorite here, blah, blah, I would tell you for sure Triangles is super capable of beating him. Triangles is a fantastic Pokemon player when he is on his A game. So 2 legends here, legit, 2 champions. Super pumped for this one. Let's get into it. It is best of 3 and the winner is through to the semifinals. So Triangles will be on the bottom and ABR will be on the top. Smeargle lead, huh? ABR, I think, is more inclined towards Smeargle than most ADVers. He has experimented with it many times. He used it many times in Invitational. He really likes that mon more than most people do, and this is a fabulous start for him. Getting the BP to the mag after sleeping the Zapdos. Really good start for ABR. Does lose the Magneton after getting a Thunderbolt off, but I stand by that ABR is clearly ahead in this early game. And T-Tar goes down to make him officially ahead by a score of 5-4. Moving pretty quick here. We've got obviously an offensive team for ABR and perhaps some kind of balanced or offense for Triangles. But just 7 turns in, we've got ourselves a 4-4. And ABR there was trying to whack off Teehee, but never got a chance to do so with the Meteor Mash immediate critical hit, which is obviously unlucky for him. And while the meta may actually have been CB locked, but still, stinky crit. This is going to be a really short game. It's going to take more time for the intro, which I kept shorter than usual this time, than it is for the actual game, it's looking like. Dozen turns in, and more mons are down than not. Endeavorpert here, trying to take out the Metacham, which it will be able to do with Surf here. However, last poke is Celebi, which of course resists water. Endeavor is going to get him down to 18%, but Giga Drain is going to get a little bit of that back. Remember, Zapdos is still sleeping from before, but that'll suffice for the last. Even if it doesn't have HP flying, it doesn't matter. You can just click Double Edge here, and there is nothing ABR is going to be able to do about that. So a very quick game 1, just 16 turns. Definitely a speedy game. And it's going to go to Triangles, the British player. Like I said, do not underestimate this man. He is a monster of a Pokemon player. We're going to go to game 2, but in case this is the last game, in case he eliminates ABR here, I just want to remind you that this tournament is heavily focused on donations. That's how these things come to be. So if you're able to support the tournament, it's strictly optional, of course. Please consider supporting it in one of the following ways: hitting the like button, hitting the subscribe button, and of course, the big one, sending a donation. The people who organize these tours, they don't keep any of it. All the money that gets donated goes into the prize pool and gets distributed among the players. So if you've been enjoying this tour at all, if you've gotten $5 worth of entertainment from this tournament, consider throwing them $5 because it really does make a difference, and a bunch of little donations like that add up to a lot. Believe me, I've hosted many tournaments. So getting back into the action, Triangles and ABR. ABR is going to have to rattle off 2 in a row or he will be eliminated. Triangles with 2 opportunities here, of course starting with this one, to push him off the cliff and get his spot in the semifinals. So Here we are with Zapdos lead again for Triangles. This time not a Smeargle, but a Metagross for ABR. And that's an immediate hidden power, probably Fire, thinking something like Skarmory was going to come in there. Instead, it's Swampert, which obviously doesn't care about HP Fire. So, we end up with T-Tar on Starmie. They're both going to stay in. Surf and Hidden Power, that is a crit Hidden Power. Not clear if that is Grass or Bug, but either way, the crit is going to result in Starmie going down. Boom is going to get revenge, but early lead for Triangles yet again, and another strong start for the British player who's already up a game. Gonna go for Ice Punch. T-Wave, that's a good turn for ABR for sure. The damage is well worth paralyzing the Gengar. Gengar is so much worse when it's paralyzed, and a full para kicks in. So now ABR is gonna get some relevant luck, which he could certainly use given the way things have gone so far. Thunderbolt blanking there on Swampert. Still very well may have HP Grass, however. And Triangles is gonna scout for it. Sees Toxic here as he lefties back up to 100%, but that doesn't mean he doesn't have HP Grass. Does go for Toxic again, and it's going to be Surf. Fair enough. So Zapdos down to just 22%, but that poison going to be annoying unless it is Refresh Pert, which thus far it has not shown. In comes Lax now for ABR, and Gengar comes back in. Curse there, no problem. We'll still outspeed him because of the para and get him with Shadow Ball if he has that. Wow, it's actually the Gengar who's faster. Man, that's gotta be a very fast Gar and a very slow Lax. And the Dugtrio Revenge does not manage to get him there. Self-destruct, not even Body Slam, just booms on him. Fair enough. Well, we've tied it up at 3-3. We've got Regirock, which we don't see very often, and we see even less often in the not lead position. So back Regirock against Jirachi, now against Zapdos, now against Swampert. We've got a Carousel. Hidden Power there. Not very effective. Man, that's classic ABR right there. I think that's Hidden Power Rock. This man worships at the Church of Accuracy. He does not want to miss. Forget flinch possibilities. Fuck that. Why would I go for flinches when I risk missing? Rock Slide blows. Let's use HP Rock. I mean, I'm teasing him, but like it really was HP Rock there. This is the way the man thinks. And only ABR, with his boundless creativity, he has evolved so far in ADV. There was a point where he was a pretty bog standard player, but look at this now. Look at double Reggie, double back Reggie, specifically going for endgame last poke Registeel. When's the last time you saw this outside of a draft match? Never. But yeah, this is ABR for you. He is very creative. He is not afraid to use his own stuff. He's always innovating. And this will very likely get it done here. I mean, when they're both paralyzed, it gets a little bit corny. Either one of them can get, 3 full paras in a row at a terrible time, but Registeel has a very real chance to win here. That being said, if Triangles wins here, whether it's with paras or crit or whatever the case may be, then he's through to the semifinals. Triangles has time to find out how rollout mechanics work. I can't tell if he's joking or not, but I don't think that's what it's going to have. I think it's much more likely that he's got rest and one attack, whether it's something like return or something like HP Steal. But I think he's going to have rest and an attack. I can't imagine being a Curse Amnesia set without rest. And I don't think it's rollout. Yeah, we're going to see return here. And like I said, I think the last move is just going to be rest. But as far as rollout mechanics, it's very simple. It's 90% accurate. It gets bigger and bigger every time. If you either miss or full para, it resets back to the base. But alas, not relevant here. He is just returning him into oblivion. And that Thunderbolt there, he really could have used a crit, but he does get another turn with a para there. He might go for a sub. Kind of surprised that he didn't. If he subs, he at least gives himself another turn to fish for para. But as it stands, Zapdos is going to need probably multiple crits here. He can also just para, which, I mean, yeah, he's never going to kill him this way. He still needs the crits, but just because he doesn't crit doesn't mean he's dead. Even with the boost, he's going to survive there, but now he's going to need crit para in sequence. Okay, needs a para to stay alive. and does not find it. So this one also on the quicker side, not as blazing lightning quick as game 1, but still a quicker game. But it will be ABR with his unbound creativity. Double Reggie, double back Reggie, specifically Last Poke, Amnesia Curse Registeel. Something that you don't prep for. Something that no matter what you bring, you're not going to be thinking about that Pokemon when you're building your team. It's just ABR being creative, having surprise value, bringing something that he whipped up, that he's confident in. And when you're playing against someone like this who could just bring balls to the walls, Smeargle offense, or his famed, Mischievous, Sableye, full stall garbage, or something like this, which is just no one runs this ever. I don't know how you prep against that. I don't know how you ever try to anticipate what he's going to bring. I think the answer is you don't. I think you just bring a strong, solid team that you're comfortable in, and don't put too much emphasis on what you think your opponent's going to do, because you're probably not going to be right. So that being said, we are going to go to a third game, a decisive game. The winner here is through to the semifinals, the top 4. I mean, whoever loses here is out. Top 8 is obviously a very good and respectable run, but if you're playing for cash money, you don't get any by getting top 8. Nobody remembers who top 8's things. Gotta win here and keep going in the tournament. So one more time, Kalos Invitational 3 champion, Triangles versus Kalos Invitational 5 champion, Eng Invitational 1 champion, ABR, for a spot in the semifinals. Here is the last game. Hariyama and Lead Skarm. Lead Skarm tends to be very polarizing. We are looking at either a balls-to-the-walls, Jolteon, Spike Stacks kind of offense team, or the total opposite. Slow, boring, do-nothing stall. So we'll see which extreme we wind up with here, but he's got 3 layers of spikes instantly in this game. And Milo indicative of stall, and if it weren't already crystal clear when you see the Milo, it is now crystal clear what we're looking at here as Sableye comes in. And I think this game early on is already a nightmare for Triangles, because the doll not only lost its lefties to the Sableye knockoff, but it's going to have a very difficult time ever removing those spikes, of which, as we said, he got 3 layers down. So I can tell you 2 things right now. I can tell you go grab a drink or something to eat or whatever, because we are definitely going to be in for a longer game here. And the other thing that I can tell you, unfortunately, if you are a Triangles fan, is that I think this is going to be a game that he's going to have a very difficult time winning. I think ABR is miles ahead, both on current game state and on matchup. So I think this is going to be hard. I mean, without seeing the last pokes, the last 2 pokes for both players, I'm not calling it over, but this is going to be a very difficult game for Triangles, without a doubt. It's just 2 stally, grindy teams. Only one of them has 3 layers of spikes and the other doesn't. Now, granted, they both have knockoff, and they both already knocked off the lefties of a couple of the other Mons, and also the Claydol did have 2 opportunities to critical hit and kill the Sableye, so there's that. But opportunities are one thing, and actually doing it something else. And there's a finite number of Earthquakes, there's a finite amount of HP for the Claydol, given the fact that it doesn't have lefties anymore. Triangles will have a couple more chances maybe to crit that Sableye and free himself up so he can actually rapid spin, but the chances are going to be limited. Now, granted, we just saw he does have Wish, so maybe he could pass that down the road to the Claydol, but it will run out of Earthquakes at some point. And if he does run out of EQs without removing those spikes, then he's going to have a real problem. And here it is again for the block. So EQ 37%. He could crit him right here. Well, in this case, the damage roll wouldn't have been good enough even if he had crit, but doesn't find it. So here comes Jirachi. There is knockoff. Stall on stall, baby. Tends to favor the man with the ghost. Specifically, and I honestly I think that I dislike Claydol more than damn near any other player at my level. Damn near any other high-level player. I just have this unnatural hatred for Claydol, and games like this are just a perfect example as to why. I feel like even when it's not completely cock-blocked, it just still is just too passive and does nothing too often, and the kind of teams that it naturally goes on are too do-nothing. But then you get games like this, where it is walled by this garbage UU. Why does anyone use this Mon in Sableye? Sableye is another trash Mon, but it completely dumpsters on Claydol here, and it just exasperates my already irrational hatred for that Mon. I think Claydol is the single most overrated Mon in all of OU. But with that rant aside, and I mean, hey, we probably realistically, this could be a 100-turn game, so I might have time for more rants. And believe me, I won't hesitate if something comes to my mind. But yeah, I mean, I stand by my previous statement. My opinion hasn't changed. I think this is going to be a very hard game, given the state of things, for Triangles to win. Certainly the Suicune is good. Certainly the layers of spikes are going to make it harder for the Suicune. The knockoff is definitely a good weapon, and eventually when the Skarmory goes down for ABR, and that was good too, hitting the Claydol. But when the Skarm goes down for ABR, then the knockoffs are going to inevitably hit something else. That was a really bad turn. Crit there on the boom, but didn't really matter. I think that Triangle simply did not predict the explosion. I think he would have made a different play had he known it was going to be boom there. He might have thought, and this is not a crazy thought, ABR on this kind of team often likes to run Rest Doll and then pair it with an Aroma or a Heal Bell user, which he's already shown that he could have in Blissey. We don't actually know if it is Bell or not, but I don't know. I think Triangles might have been trying to make that switch in on a Rest turn and was not thinking it was going to be a Boom turn. But yeah, there is ABR mixing it up, and it's a Boom rather than a Rest. Mence goes down. That's going to make it even harder. And Triangle's team really lacks ways to win. He doesn't have spikes. He has very passive Mons in Doll and in a non-offensive Yama, and in this particular Rachi set, which is a good set, but is definitely not a win condition. Blissey, when it's not CM, definitely not a win condition. It's really just the Suicune here, so if Triangles is to win this game, he's either going to have to hacks out the Sableye and then get an actual Rapid Spin off, which if he does, it's going to be hard for ABR to get too many spikes down, because this is a burnt 39% Skarmory that doesn't have lefties anymore. So if Triangles does ever get a Rapid Spin off, then all of a sudden I think he's in awesome shape to win the game. I think it's going to be hard for ABR to win himself if he doesn't just milk the spikes. We have two very passive do-nothing teams here, but the key is, can he ever remove the spikes? And then alternatively, depending on the game state, maybe Last Mon Suicune could win the day for Triangles. That is possible as well, but I mean, ABR hasn't shown his last. It's very often Dugtrio on teams like this, which would further complicate matters when Suicune is kind of the only way for Triangles to begin with, and it's going to be even harder if the Suicune has to worry about a potential Dugtrio in the back, or if it is a non-Rest Talk Suicune. And it might be Rest Talk on this particular team. Roar doesn't seem as good when you don't have spikes, but if it's not a Sleep Talk Suicune, the Dugtrio is even more dangerous because it comes in on rest turns. Hopefully for his sake it's not Dugtrio, but like I said, it very often is on this particular structure. But it's also ABR who brings Last Poke win condition Registeel, so I wouldn't rule out that it's something other than Dugtrio or something weird. TBD. I could see Aerodactyl in the back as well in ABR's position. So here comes the Jirachi stepping on those spikes. Seismic Toss, the only form of offense that stupid Sableye has. Wish floating, and going to protect and keep it for itself. Fair enough. So Rachi back up to 93% then. Here comes the Suicune, in no danger from my Lotic, of course. And we do have a sandless game here, so all the Mons that have Last Mon Raikou, why not? It's ABR, nothing surprises me anymore, but if I could have listed 5 things that I thought the last might have been that one would not have been anywhere near my train of thought or anywhere near my list. But, okay, well, we've got a Raikou. Like I said, definitely didn't see that coming, but with that being the case, I think Triangles has some problems. I think the Raikou is going to be a big issue. Especially if it's Sub Raikou, which totally shuts off that Jirachi. It obviously beats the Yama and the Suicune one-on-one. Yeah, if Raikou punches through Blissey here, and that power certainly helps, it's going to be a tough one. The fact that there's no sand and that everything has lefties really changes the dynamic here. But that full power is terrible, and now Triangles might just be dead. Alright, here comes Rachi, gonna need to survive and then crit Fire Punch, not even, substitute, which is the worst case scenario. He hid that all along, he Toxic Blanks, and now he's just dead. Unless the Raikou doesn't have a hidden power, but he's totally gonna. And there it is, don't know if it's grass or ice, doesn't matter in this case. Raikou is easily gonna clean this up, and that is going to be a decisive Game 3 victory for ABR. He's going to take the series down 2-1 over Triangles, so I thought put up a good fight and a valiant effort against obviously a very difficult opponent. But it is going to be ABR, the Gym Invitational champ and the Kalos Invitational champ, advancing to the semifinals. Man, what a crazy series. And again, just how polarized ABR is. He's got the Smeargle Marowak Hyper Offense. Who the hell predicts that? Then he's got this double Reggie contraption. Who the hell predicts that? And then he's got this full stall team that has this random Raikou in the back. Who the hell predicts that? ABR, between his builds, his play, his surprise value, is a very, very difficult opponent. And you've got to think, even in this field, even with the McMegans of the world, the Packs, the Behees, you've got to think that ABR is the favorite and is the man to beat. But hey, that's TBD, but I was definitely impressed by what I saw here. It wasn't a blowout. This game was probably the least close of the three. Triangles could have beaten him, but shoulda, coulda, woulda does not matter in Pokemon. ABR is through to the semifinals. Obviously, keep an eye on him for the remaining matches of the tournament. And that'll be it. Thank you guys for watching today. Like I said, my name is Callus. Check out my YouTube channel if you like the way that I narrate, and I will be back to narrate more content in the latter stages of the ADV Revival tournament. Thanks for watching.